All right, good morning. I'm going to give another slightly brighter stream of consciousness verbose YouTube video this morning. So a little bit brighter, a little bit later in the morning when I'm recording this, so you can actually see me. It's still overcast again, although I don't know if you can see it, but the sky is pink off in the distance. Sunrise. So I want to take a minute to talk about how one person can change the course of history, how one person through their actions can make a difference, how one person can actually save this country, and one person could save other countries too, if they make the right choice, if they do the right thing, if they do it in the moment when it matters most. So I've been listening to the news this morning. I listen and read the news every morning. But this story struck me as very, very relevant to the times we're in right now. So on January 6th, when the insurrectionists, the treasonous people, and to be very clear, the Trumpians attacked Congress with the explicit goal in that they went there with nooses and flexicuffs and were chanting "Hang Mike Pence" and "Where's the speaker? We're going to find her." Their implicit goal, as directed by the top of their organization, in quotes, was the removal of Trump's opponents. And by removal, I mean the killing of. Their goal was to go in there and kill them. Egged on by Trump. Some might find in the future, personally directed by Trump to do that. Trump didn't even bother calling Pence to see if Pence was okay, because he was cheering on the crowd. He wanted to see Pence hanging in a tree. I mean, Trump said if Pence didn't do what he wanted, they'd no longer be friends. And Trump's friends that are no longer friends end up in jail and or punished in some other way, as best as Trump can possibly have happen. And for Trump, that would involve Pence swinging in a noose, as well as Nancy and Chuck Schumer. And his insurrectionist cohorts, his horde, attempted to do that. So I'm going to get into this one person making a difference. So in the Capitol building, the joint conference, the joint Congress, the House and Senate, were meeting on the chamber floor when the horde broke in, whose goal was to capture and kill them. I say capture and kill. Ted Cruz would have been fine. He's one of the horde members. These other Republicans that were voting to stop Biden from being actually permanently made the president-elects through the actual reading of the electoral ballots, those that were fighting against that happening, they would have been fine. They were happy that this was happening. They even, before this even happened, they were fist pumping their horde in the air prior to coming into the building. So this horde had broken through. They're in the building. Congress is still in the middle of a joint session. They don't know what's happening outside yet. There is one lone African American Capitol Police officer between the horde coming to capture and kill Nancy and Pence, the chamber they're in, and the horde. This one African American Capitol Police officer knew this. He knew where they were. He knew where the horde was. He had the horde right in his sight. And he couldn't stop the horde. He was one person. One person against a mass of people that were there to capture and kill our elected officials. What did he do? It would have been easy just to turn and run. He wasn't going to win a fight against them. But instead, what he did, he went to the closest guy and he shoved him. And he egged him on, and then he took off running. And the head of the horde that was there, the head of the snake that's been trying to kill us, and destroy our country, turned on him and chased him. Chased him, and in doing so, left the unlocked doors of the joint session of Senate and Congress and House of Representatives, chased him away from those doors. He bought time for our elected leaders to escape and get somewhere safe and not get killed. That one man, through his actions, is a hero. He alone at this point probably single-handedly saved our country from where Trump was trying to take it. They've not actually released his name yet. The news reporters know who it is. People in Congress know who it is. Some, no doubt. The Ted Cruzes are cursing him for having stopped their plans to destroy this country and remake it in their image, remake it as something twisted and horrible. Others, the majority of them, are praising him as a hero for saving countless lives and making a difference. So, why am I posting this video? I'm posting this video because if you, and you know, they have the little taglines, if you see something, say something. And that's true. But it's not just you need to say something, petting a cat. It's not just you need to say something. If you have the opportunity to make a difference and do something for the better, make that difference. Make that difference. Ask yourself a week from now, if you have the wherewithal of time, a week from now, a year from now, will the world be better off if I do this? And you know, I say all of this, and the people on the other side, the ones in that horde, that throng of people that were incited to active rebellion against this country, they also thought they were doing the right thing. And yet, to them, the right thing was breaking into a building, capturing elected members of Congress, and killing them on the orders of Trump. Trump would have their back. If only they would do this for him. If only they would go murder somebody for him. If only they would go take care of this little problem he's got, called he lost an election by well over 7 million votes. If only they would look past that and just do him this one favor of killing, you know, 1, 2, a couple dozen people that would oppose him. And these are people that are supposed to be strong Christians and religious people. People that are real Christians and religious people realize that that would be wrong. I'll get into something personal here. One of my family members actually told me the other day that they believe Trump should be in prison for what he did on the 6th. This person had been a diehard Trump supporter to the point that I didn't really call this person anymore to talk to them, because it always devolved into an argument, because they would never understand or could never understand that Trump was actually a monster, that he was actively subverting this country and destroying it. But after January 6th, they woke up. I'm saddened that it took to January 6th for that to happen, but at the same time, I'm very glad that they finally woke up. I'm proud of them that they were able to finally see that this was the end result that Trump has been working towards this entire time. And they finally are willing to say something and stand against what he has been doing to this country. So there is hope. There are people out there that are doing the right thing. There are people there that put their lives in danger to make the world a better place. And that's, you know, it's sad that that's still necessary. But it's so enheartening to see that there are some people that will still do that. So what's coming up this week? This week looks like, in theory, Pence could try to use the 25th Amendment to remove Trump. Reality is, even though Trump wanted Pence killed, and Pence knows Trump was cheering on him, his neck swinging in a noose. Pence will not remove him by the 25th Amendment. He just won't. He doesn't have it in him to do it. The cabinet members that would have maybe agreed to do so, they've all resigned. So that just means temporary political appointees were put in place. And we all know Trump has a loyalty pledge. You have to sign that before you get shit from him. And so they all signed the loyalty pledge. None of the ones that just got put in place would agree to have Trump removed. So this week, Trump will be impeached the second time. First time ever. President's ever been impeached twice. Now, I think the Democrats are doing the right thing, actually. They must impeach him in the House of Representatives, and they will. But they're not going to send the articles of impeachment to trial in the Senate until 100 days later, until after Biden's first 100 days. That will allow a shit ton of evidence to come to light. That evidence, there will be no squeaking out of it for Trump and his cronies. That impeachment will lead to multiple other trials. And the reality is, while Trump might not be convicted by the Senate, because let's face it, he has senators there that will try to protect him. But after 100 days of Trump not being president, why would the senators agree to protect him any further when all the evidence does come to light as to how involved Trump actually was? So they might actually convict him. And if they convict him, they can bar him from ever running for life again for federal office, which I think is absolutely necessary. He must be barred from ever running again. That has to happen. Otherwise, he will continually run and hold rallies trying to be president again, making money off of his idiots, continuing to brainwash his idiots, continuing to have Fox News, OAN, and every other piece of crap. Every other network that faithfully supports him while faithlessly misleading, maybe that's not a set of words, while misleading people that are gullible into following him, giving up their money, and yes, giving up their lives. The woman who was shot in the neck and killed by Capitol Police during the insurrection at the Capitol building on the 6th, she gave up her life. She actually said she'd do it. She actually said, I'll give up my life for Trump. And you know what? She did give up her life. But it wasn't for Trump. It was because she was brainwashed by Trump. Brainwashed by his agents. And so she's now dead. She died in an attempt to overthrow the government. She was a traitor. But she was a traitor that was brainwashed by other traitors. And it's just really sad that it wasn't the people at the top that are the ones that had to suffer and die. It was their little peons at the bottom that they brainwash are the ones that are suffering. The ones at the top must be made to face sanction and penalty over this. They must be branded traitors and punished according to the law. So, 8 more days until Trump is no longer president, no matter what happens. He can't stop it anymore. Now, will he launch a nuclear attack on Iran or North Korea? Maybe. He still has the nuclear codes. He can't post on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, any of the major sites he's been blocked from. His supporting networks, the alternative sites, Parler and the ilk that were supporting him, they've also been terminated by Google and Apple. Amazon web hosting is like, nope, we're done. You're out. Those networks have been destroyed by big business. Because big business has realized they could be held liable for the death and destruction caused by Trump if he could continue to post on their networks. And they removed him. And his family's crying about it. Oh, the humanity. Oh, he lost his free speech. Oh, you can't do this to poor Trump. He's just misunderstood. You can't take his toy away from him. Well, it's not a freedom of speech issue because those are private companies. It's a private service. Trump can always, he is still president. He could always call a news conference. He could call a news conference 24 hours a day for the next 8 days. Absolutely, he could. He won't, but he could. So it's not a freedom of speech issue. It's an issue of public safety. In the issue of public safety, these companies have realized that this person is inciting rebellion and inciting dangerous attacks on this country. And they finally decided that enough is enough and they can't allow it. So good for them. I'm glad they finally came to their senses. It took 4 years, but I'm glad they did. Anyway, if you have comments on this video, feel free to leave them. I'll review them before I let them post, but I will take a look at them. And remember, try to do the right thing. Make a difference. Make the world a better place. Bye for now.